Good morning. This is Harper. Um, ADOS, people around the world. Good morning. This is your host Harper. This morning, a thing that I guess we all know and may have not said or saying. The main problem, one of the main problems, is with what the struggle is for the descendants of slaves in America. The one of the things that we have to look at, and I believe very much so, the strategicness of how media is set up. I mean, I think YouTube is a good thing, and social media is a very good thing for us to come here and to be able to expound on these subjects that are important, and to be able to, build commentary and be to build constituency. However, we have to realize what they were able to execute is the defacing of our importance as a community, as a group, from mainstream media, and redlining, denying mainstream media to access the importance and the encouraging of the slave descendants in the black community in America, because it's the first world. So in the first world, everybody has a place, and we do too. We have one, but we've been denied it. So, see, one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s methods was to cause such a ruckus, cause such a ruckus that he would, the media would report on these instances. They would report on these events that Dr. King led, and Malcolm X. And, the media coming in will create a trickle down effect in terms of a society. And people know where to get on board at. So the media has denied using any of our talking points that's going to further better us to keep us from getting on board somewhere. Say, for instance, per se, you got people talking about reparations, but mainstream media have not give recognition to the actual movement that start people to actual snowballing to be concerned about it and rectify in terms of blackness and slave descendants in America. So it's pretty transparent that the government and the fourth branch of government, the media, mainstream media, is pretty transparent that they are understanding to keep this basically behind the red tape so people don't know what's going on. And then politicians are using and regurgitating talking points of this movement that nobody knows about, or a lot of people don't know about, ADOS. And other movements have been started, but ADOS is one that snowballed and got us all, being a little bit more strategic about our needs under this political umbrella. They have not been necessarily televised. It hasn't been talked about. So they don't want to cause a trickle down effect for us to be on a good cause for whatever reason. I don't know why would they be threatened by us? I mean, we want to be on an equal playing field in terms of the law, government policy, and that means being rectified. That means being repaired, and reparations, and like any other group who was able to access America. That's just how America moves. It's a very historic atmosphere, and people have been compensated in terms of how they exist in anchored in the history of America, except for us, except for the blacks, the slave descendants, who, you know, was the actual battery of it successing like it has. I mean, the the cotton gin in America was 75% of the world's population of cotton. In the United States, cotton gin. I mean, that came from chattel slavery, and to bring a success where you're anchored to success the world. I mean, and have not been compensated in terms of your inheritances. the laws have not, you have not been able to reciprocate the value of property, the value of the law, basically. The things that's written up for you to possess inside your possessions have not yet been obtained by you. And this is in terms of being a slave descendant, me, myself, and others out there. And that has put us in a devalued space. It's put us in a space of basically a more sophisticated servitude in terms of economic wealth and people being engineering power engines, and we are basically powering them up by the way we spend our money, by where we work, you know, and how we pay taxes, how we pay tuitions, what we give, and it's a money making engine, but we're not getting any of it back. It's no way, no policy. The policies that has been created for the slave descendants basically were policies for everybody. It was a kumbaya thing, minority. It's for everybody. That's just not fair because you can't zero in to a problem that needs to be fixed by saying, okay, well, we just gonna give everybody something. I don't get to get the Jews reparations. I don't get to get the Indians reparations. That would be um, basically crazy for me to even line myself up as I'm one of them and receive something that has been passed in law for them to repair them as a group, according to what happened and what kind of humanitarian crime they suffer in the history of this system by this historic nation, America, and that they are able to access it through being denied something or mishandled in terms of a power source. And that's the government, which has allowed a certain system and a certain power source to oppress a people. They have accessed their due diligence, except for the slave descendants, American DOS, ADOS. So in this day and time, we're behind, yet we're talking and we're important. We got people that are brilliant people. However, we're not in control of anything. Even though we have given to the society more than any group, we're not in control of anything. So we have to just be more strategic and keep up the fight in terms of announcing who we are and what we expect, doing politics, transparent government, pulling people apart, seeing what their real agenda is, looking at their receipts, seeing what they have done in terms of community and government, in terms of policy, and what they have done. A lot of times we find out that they have further destroyed our community and kept up the oppression and kept up the conspiracy that the slave descendants has been under. They have promoted it and made money from it, building prisons and mass incarceration due to the fact that drugs were inserted and these people were not, my people were not dealt with due diligence, didn't get good health care or nothing. They just got sent up the prison pipeline and trying to deface the important leaders and not going with their legacy. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, all these people stood for the integrity and the prestige of blackness. Their message is, they're trying to dilute their messages, giving Martin Luther King Jr. a holiday, but a lot of people don't know what he actually stood for. And that was reparations. One of his last speeches was about going to Washington, getting our check. That's something that is important that we should obtain. That's very important when you look at a political society, a system that remembers people how they have been anchored in their history. That's an inheritance. When you got Becky's grandmother, say you got white Becky's grandmother, she's giving her inheritance when she moves on so that she can live her life and keep up the legacy of which the family is anchored in. And that's all they worth. That's what they got. Well, what are we worth? What do we have? We're not just people who's supposed to go out and work for other folks, especially after chattel slavery. We're not supposed to be the only people in the country with no capital. That in a country where it's the way it exists. America exists by capital. All groups have capital and they're able to be comfortable on an equal playing field throughout existing here, throughout being repaired, throughout receiving reparations, throughout getting loans, throughout being dealt with due diligence as in terms of a group. We have not obtained that. But what we did do is we got laws passed for groups to actually access the United States government and benefit from. This is the conspiracy. It's really wild and crazy. It's so we did that, but we're not reciprocating the same loyalty in terms of a system. So the United States government is in debt with us, and they owe us. But what's so important to me, and I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. It's hard to get black folks to see where to get on the bus, where to get on the train. We've been um, basically diluted. We've been thinking we accessing something because we got a TV in the house, a car to drive, or something to go work and struggle and pay for. We don't know how America moves. We are running from our own people, thinking we got something. A lot of us, but most of us know that that's not true. However, I think a lot of black people are trying to deflect being a slave descendant because it's painful, and they don't want to say, "Well, I came from the institution of slavery in this country, born and bred into it in this country, which has put me in a bottom feed, a bottom caste." We're not trying to get on board anywhere. We want to believe that everything is all right, which is delusional. It's delusional to believe everything is okay once you look at the books and once you see the business. Not only that, you can reflect from it just by your everyday life and by being in the community, looking at all the disarray in the um, destroying, of the community in the intellect of the black man throughout government conspiracy. How we've been placed and positioned in our minds, and as we exchange, and with no opportunity in terms of how America really moves, we'll subject you to a place of servitude because it's such a big engine. You got to do something. So what you gonna do? Work for people? Go get on Section 8? Pay rent? Try to buy houses, but you got to be buying them in certain places if you're black. All that kind of thing. Being outnumbered in the business opportunity, in terms of business camaraderie, because everybody else got capital, so they don't have to help you. Um, being redlined with your inheritance while everybody else holding on to theirs and paying bills with theirs and buying, getting capital and getting loans because they have inheritances that they have been able to obtain through the United States government of the history of this nation, how they were anchored. You being without it and they run around with it. So you up against that. And we as blacks are up against the generational wealth of people who never let go the things that they were supposed to, not even supposed to have, all this land, and ran people off of it and built stuff on it. And they have this generational wealth which went on for another 140 years after we were denied something that we're supposed to have to move in this system. So we've been denied this stuff that we're supposed to rightfully have and that we need. It's not just supposed to have, we need it. So we don't even know what it is to be a community in terms of success. You can't possibly know what that is if somebody have shoved you off of it and shoved you out of it or burned it to the ground like Black Wall Street and stuff. And people don't even want us to talk about that because it clearly states that black people were successful, and because of the system and white supremacy, it was devoured through militant force, and that's the military. That's military equipment. That's bombs and airplanes, and so you can't fight up against a power source like that. That's an inhumane exchange. That's a crime. That's inhumane to destroy someone's community by militant force. I mean, if we destroy somebody's community now by militant force, we would execute it. We have a powerful military. So this is the conspiracy that the slave descendants have been under. And for anybody to be opposed to us doing diligence in terms of what we should have in a society is either delusional or plain on do not care. And they don't even care, and they don't even probably realize they benefit from who we are. And that's not just immigration. It's also white supremacy benefit from us. Everybody does. Because we have not been compensated. And even if we do be compensated, the history of who we are has benefit every other group. This is just the truth. You can't take that away. That's what happened. That's what slavery was for, to benefit somebody. So this is who we are. This is who we are and who we were. So people are benefiting from our labor and our due diligence and our blood sacrifice. People died getting laws in effect, died to work to death, working on cotton fields, tobacco fields, working doing the Jim Crow out there in sharecropping, and then now building community, and then we integrated, which a lot of people think was a terrible thing, and I kind of feel that way a little bit myself, because we had community, and it was ran off by the KKK, bombed, and and integrating and not really having our own stuff, accessing capital, and then drugs being planted in our community to deface and devalue us, so that another Martin Luther King or Malcolm X wouldn't brew up. Because you got people doing drugs and playing with drugs that you inserted in their community, they cannot progress. Either they're going to be selling drugs or using drugs, because they make a lot of money. But the big men who make the money, which is the white men and other groups, they walk free, because this was intentional. It was a real conspiracy. It was intentional. That's what we got to understand. And we think that we have accessed something by not being in the actual field working as slaves. You got your own place, you can get your own job, you can get Social Security, you can go. And that's an insult in terms of the way this system actually moves with no capital. And then you had capital, and then we blame each other, which is a good thing for us to say that a lot of it is our fault for dropping the ball and expecting to reciprocate the same type of loyalty through government. And we come to learn that's not how government works for us. We have to present ourselves, And I think that's the beautiful strategic and the importance of ADOS, is that we can present ourselves in unity in terms of a system and how we should be reckoned with. That's important. But a lot of black folks don't even know where to get on at, because we under the redlining of mainstream media. They're not trying to give recognition to this movement or the acronym. It will be televised, but you see how hard it is. We every day unfolding politics and government, but yet haven't got any recognition. But if you look closely, the Latino and the Asian community, they getting recognition for what they doing in terms of DACA. That's what the Democrats have deemed important. They have deemed that important. And it's for a reason. That's for a reason. That's to replace. So they got a plan. George Soros and them, they have a plan, and they want it to work. However, I don't believe it's going to work, because there's too many of us in this country, and they're in debt with us, and they are a disdain on God's on God's conscience, on the conscience of righteousness. It's not benevolent, so they will not execute. But from the looks of it, everything else has been done to us, and it's executed. So we have to believe and understand that through our education and our passion and who we are, we will proceed, we will progress, we will make it. But it's unreal that we can be in the first world nation and experience this. This is stuff people experience in countries like that are been colonized or that are not facilitated well, that are in disaster. What blacks experience in America is what people experience in those countries. How can we be in the first world nation and experience third world elements because it's designed that way? And then you go out and say, well, it's their fault. And then, the songs and the music that have been written about the war on drugs and stuff, that's black people talking about their life and promoting that image. And then the white man or who's ever the powers that be is signing these contracts and making degenerates, making people rich off of poisoning their own community or devalue, defacing their own people in terms of a tribe. So they don't want to talk about ADOS or get recognition in mainstream media, and that's one of the biggest part because Dr. King's strategy was getting the news media out there so black folk can see what's going on, and then it could trickle down effect and black people get on board, and even allies of the oppressed will come out and say, hey, it's time to stop doing these people like this because now it's mainstream media, and that's the point of getting mainstream media, and they have redlined that. That's why we here talking about our causes, and that's the point of getting people like Al Sharpton and all those people to talk to calm black folks down in terms of the movements that have been popped up and looting about unarmed black men being killed and stuff because now we starting to snowball together and gain unity so they go get people like Al Sharpton to basically be the calm in the storm to get black folks to calm down their momentum of exercising freedoms and in a group because they knew it was a threat that we would have a bigger voice and it would actually work. So they use it for what they want to use it for. They use the mainstream media for what they want to use it for. And that's in their favor. They're making money off of prison systems, making money off of saying black boys got ADHD, getting pills, and black women getting checks for them. And that stuff is an insult. That ain't no real money. Getting them checks and stuff and living on Section 8. That's keeping you at the bottom. You're not having access to capital. You're not being dealt with due diligence in terms of how the system moves. You haven't been given your reparations. You haven't been given your inheritance. Your laws haven't been strategic enough for you to benefit from, and only you. This is having other people come in the country and take over you and your existence and your value and your worth in the system that you were oppressed in and that you was enslaved to. That's what that only does. So we know that right now. So we got to place this. And yes, I appreciate Yvette Cornell and Antonio Moore talking about um, Joe Biden. We will not be casting our vote in that area. Joe Biden has oppressed the black community. He's the epitome of racism. And it speaks volumes that Obama would pick him as his vice president because he wanted to keep their access to whiteness because Obama is white and Nigerian. He's not a black man in America. He's not ADOS. He ain't none of us. He had to go to Chicago to learn how to be us. So now we see what they done. They put a mask on to finesse us, to further keep us under conspiracy of denial, denying us something powerful. And nobody rectified laws in terms of us, but they gave DACA to the immigrants. Illegal immigration. And this is something they still talking about and want to fight for and put them in government. Well, how important are these people coming to another country illegally poor to get somewhere? And they are gaining too. And for us to be here already with education and different things and colleges everywhere and HBCUs, and you won't remember us in that way. And I think it's because they feel threatened by us, the system, because we are dominant people, and we have a birthright also. When we have a child by any other race, that child is black. So it's a big conspiracy with us. But it's no fault of our own that we came from chattel slavery in this country. So it's no fault of our own. So it's no fault of our own too. But they They're trying to constantly redline us, and we need to just move strategically, keep going, and I think that's what we will do because we have to. It's deplorable what how they exchange and expects us. They expect people to vote black, and blacks will vote for Joe Biden if we don't say nothing to them. If we don't let them know this is not what you want to be doing. You got to pull these people apart. You got to unpack all this stuff. This is doing politics. We have to be strategic. We have to grow. We have to go forward. We can't stop. Dr. Claude Anderson knows a lot. They don't want to put him on board. But I think what we need to do is not get in each other's way and continue to move forward. Even we disagree to agree or agree to disagree, because I love all y'all. I love y'all. We love each other. We love y'all. I love my black folks. Remember that. I don't care what we argue about online or what we have discussion about. We have the same cause. We've been affected the same way. So we have to be a constituency and move forward. But that's just a talk and food for thought. We have to move forward. We have a beautiful history in terms of our people being leaders. We have a justice claim. It's very valuable to us. We have gold, and we need to be compensated. Forget what they think. Everybody else has been done. Everybody else has been compensated. So let's just continue to unfold, and I'll be back to do another talk, something I think I can zero into a little bit better and really discuss. Because I pretty much talk about things at the grassroots, but I'll zero into some things and I'll give y'all some commentary. But if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do. Join the movement ADOS if you're an ADOS person and stand with us. Thank you for joining me, Harper. Thank you.